I'm going to bend to her way of thinking, or she's going to bend to mine.
Maybe they even start to get along.
I'd ask why my dad ran into a den of monsters, but he'd probably just tell me to shut the fudge up.
So the ongoing relationship between Lucy and the Ghoul has been so electric to watch, but how are we going to see these two in their relationship evolve in season 2?
Great question. I think that's what season 2 is all about.
I think you're going to see, well, I know because I've seen it.
We pick up season 2 very, very close to where we left off season 1. They've had a little bit of time on the road together, and they kind of have this like buddy road trip thing going on, which obviously makes for quite an unlikely pairing given their wildly different outlooks on life.
You can't treat people like this!
Yeah, why is that?
Because of the golden rule.
It's a relationship that we really wanted to dig in and spend more time on because they have such opposing worldviews that it felt just really irresistible to shove them into very dangerous situations together and see whether Lucy's way of kindness is the right path versus the Ghoul's way, which is just blow up any enemy you see or kill them as quickly as you can, would win.
So it's very fun, very comedic, a lot of tension, both trying to sort of be heard, be seen, get their own way, make the other person do what they want them to do.
I'm going to bend to her way of thinking, or she's going to bend to mine.
I defer to you about what to do in this situation.
We intentionally stayed away from a father-daughter kind of relationship and just made it about two humans on a post-apocalyptic road trip getting to know each other.
You know, as they spend more time together and they experience all of the things that the wasteland throws at them, which I'm sure you can imagine is a lot, maybe they even start to get along.
The greatest central theme for me, at least when I play Fallout, is the question of how you can further your ends without losing your soul. You know, you have to kind of sell out. Oh, you're helping this one faction, and then you have to sell them out to get some other thing that you're doing on your next quest, and then you feel bad. And it's that's what we're trying to, I hope, through our characters explore is or like how much are you willing to sell out, and how much are you willing to betray your friends, and how much are you willing to sell your soul in order to get what you want and what you're after.
Where's my f***ing family?
In the Ghoul's case, that's his family. And in Lucy's case, that's bringing her father to justice. She is very scared of what he might do on the wasteland next. She knows what he did to Shady Sands, and that her father's an incredibly dangerous man. And so she's very eager to bring him to justice. Of course, in the first episode, the Ghoul points out that's a freaking absurd goal. Like, what does it mean to bring someone to justice on a wasteland where there's no courthouse, there's no jury of your peers? Isn't that going to have to be an act of violence? And that's not something Lucy is willing to do, or is she? So those were the questions that I really wanted to dive into in this show.
Now, there's some big moments in these new episodes where Lucy makes decisions or reacts in ways that she probably wouldn't have before she left the vault. How is being in the waste for so long changing her?
It's a good question. That's something that I really explored a lot this season and spoke to Geneva and Graham about at great length. And it's something that's still sort of evolving, and it changes with every person that she passes, every interaction that she has, every death that she witnesses, each second she spends with the Ghoul. The longer you spend in the wasteland, the more corrupt you become. Just inherently, it's adapt or die, right? That's the whole thing about the wasteland. Part of the fun of the season is watching her grapple with these things. Poor Lucy, and also learning little loopholes, right? Maybe she can win this fight without killing anyone. Maybe she can level up and use this weapon and still do the right thing, but also how many wrongs can you commit to do the right thing and get away with it? Like, is a little white lie okay? Is it okay to do this bad thing if it's for the greater good? Like, where does her golden rule actually sit in the reality of the wasteland?
What is your favorite part of playing the Ghoul side of this thing? And what has the Ghoul or this project at large kind of given you that you may not have tapped into in your career yet?
I suppose it's just how complicated his life is, knowing everything that he knows, seeing everything that he's seen. And he's a repository for all of the pain that the world has gone through. It's also within him. I've been in television for a really long time. I've done a lot of films in my life, but in this world, in this medium, I've never done something so cinematic. We shoot it on 35 millimeter. What it requires to get 10 minutes into the can of this experience are so many people working at such a high level. And so that has just changed my level of understanding, what's required in this format for all of that to come together, and just a deep appreciation for all of the artisans that work on this show.
Now, Moldaver may be dead, but she's very much still sprinkled throughout this entire narrative. Even learning his wife's truths, how is he kind of dealing with what he found out while also trying to reconcile with Moldaver's world and what she wants him to do?
Oh God, that's when Francis Turner is sitting right beside you. That's a difficult question to answer. So much of this show is satirical. And it's funny, but there are also real consequences. And we tried to ground it as much as we possibly could. And so for me, without hearing her side of the story, all of a sudden the rug is pulled out from underneath Cooper Howard, right? Or everything he knew is no longer applicable because it's a new world. And beginning with the revelation that his wife may be a principal architect in the ending of the world, that story evolves over time and things kind of change. But where it begins is so nuanced, and what we're both presenting to each other, I don't want to answer for Francis, but it's not all that there is, right? And it just grows very, very deep and very, very, very complicated given the circumstances in this world.
Yes, we're withholding things from each other. So how does the relationship survive that or evolve within that? We're keeping secrets from each other, we're withholding truths from each other, and what does that do to their relationship?
Yeah.
Now, Francis, we know that your character wants to protect her family, but like you said, there still seems to be some missing puzzle pieces we don't quite have yet. But what else is driving her or motivating her as she's helping make these catastrophic decisions for Vault-Tec?
Well, she does want to protect her family, right? Their safety, their protection of her husband, especially of her daughter. So that's important to her. But she also has to balance, along with her family life, her Vault-Tec life. And she's there for a reason. And we're going to learn so much more about her participation, the choices she has to make, and what the consequences might be of those choices.
Who doesn't love the relationship between Maximus and Lucy? Although they begin the season apart, what can we kind of expect from this budding romance heading into season 2?
I think we get this opportunity to see how, one, the chance encounter that they had in the first season continues to affect them in their own journeys now, and how we continue to have this conversation with each other, even though we are separate. I think it's a really beautiful thing that we've created this show where I think by the time we are all done with some of the stories that we still have left to tell, we'll be able to look back and say, like, oh, this was happening from the beginning, that we saw it all along.
Now, can you tell me a little bit about Maximus's state in the Brotherhood this season after he was mistakenly labeled as Moldaver's killer? How is he being viewed by them now?
He's got the promotion that I guess at the start of season 1 he always wanted, but it's a little bit more of a careful what you wish for him now. It's maybe the last thing he would wish for. But we all have, as human beings, we have to survive. So they put us into these circumstances where we're sort of facing our own survival, and choice is sort of limited, but you see the characters doing what they can to make sure that they survive.
Now, there's a couple new faces this season, and Kumail Nanjiani shows up, Macaulay Culkin. What can you tell me about these new characters and what they're going to add to the season 2 story?
Mac is an actor who had sort of the privilege of playing an iconic role, right? I was a kid when I saw Home Alone many, many times in the theater, and we were very excited to put this person who's like sort of iconically thought of as very like a sweet kid into the brutality of the Legion. It just felt like a fun gag for us, but also what a thoughtful actor. We felt like he would bring sort of a patrician, more intellectual air to his character in the Legion, which is something that always interested me about the games, is when you talk to Caesar, aka Kaisar, he's actually quite a thoughtful guy, even though he runs this incredibly brutal society. So I was really drawn to that about Mac's interpretation of the Legion and his character. With Kumail, what a no-brainer for our show, and that he's an actor who can do great dramatic work, but also is incredibly funny. And that is always, to me, the North Star of the Fallout world, is that tone, which is a blend of drama and comedy. That's what I love about the games, and that's why Kumail was a natural fit for the show.
I think one of the things that we loved about the games, and one of the things we tried to pull into the franchise, was the sheer scale and texture of all the different factions, all the different amazing characters you meet. And I think it's one of the things that distinguishes our version of the apocalypse from others. Is it's not bleak, it's textured, it's varied, it's diverse, it's crazy and gonzo and filled with these indelible characters. So if you're going to do indelible characters, you're going to need indelible actors.
Norm has been on quite of a journey of his own throughout this series, but in season 2, he's feeling a little bolder, a little more sure of himself. What can you say about his path in these new episodes?
It's a do or die. Literally, at this point, he has to figure out a way to survive. Questioning how his vault came about and who his father is, he decides to defrost a whole community of vault dwellers that he now has to lead, but hopefully all of them together can sort of figure out a way to get out of the vault.
What are you most excited for viewers to see as part of Norm's story this season?
His ability to take charge and manage the complexities of these interpersonal relationships that he now has to lead, but also deceive in ways. Leadership is definitely new to him, but there's no other way around it.
I thought you were going to say the love story, but
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. We have to...
Now, Kyle, last season, we ended with a few bombshells, one of which was Lucy finding out the truth about her dad. How, if at all, does that change Hank's trajectory for this season?
Well, it certainly stays with Lucy, manifests itself and is a worry, and it's on her mind. But Hank's also aware. He knows how it was left, and he realizes that he's going to have to do some work to regain her trust. And he understands that Hank is so many steps ahead of what everyone else is doing. He knows that the Ghoul and Lucy are on his trail. He knows that they're going to ultimately end up at some point in time, again, face to face. And so he has kind of plotted and planned out how he wants that to happen, which we see. There's a beautiful little scene between Lucy and myself, Ella and myself. And you can see that she's still wrestling with it, because Hank is very persuasive and you really want to believe him. And ultimately, I think it comes from a place of truth. He does believe he's doing the right thing, and he's doing something that's going to help the world and humanity as a whole.
And now that Hank's backstory has kind of been fleshed out a little bit more, did that change at all how you approached the character or how you played him?
Well, the whole yo-yo thing threw me for a loop, because I'm just kidding. That was really fun. There were layers that we hadn't seen in the first season because they weren't necessarily valid in the first season, but they were always sort of there according to the writers and understood, Hank is a scientist. This is where he really thrives, and we get to see him going through these different, and his knowledge is vast, and you get to see these different things manifest themselves in season 2 in kind of a funny way as he takes these trips down through dealing with the animals that he deals with. I don't know how much I can say about that, but anyway, so you really see him in his element. And he's happy. This is really what he loves to do. He was a great leader in Vault 33, but I think this is really where he thrives, lives and thrives in the scientist mode.
Try again.
Now, Kyle, even though Hank has certain reasons and motivations for the things that he does, I'm curious, what's your favorite part of playing him? And is it more fun to just kind of play a bad guy as an actor?
No doubt it is fun. But the thing that I enjoy so much is the fact that he has takes such pleasure and joy in some of the simple things that are around him. And he's a positive, upbeat kind of dude, he always looking forward, on to the next thing. We're going to make this work. So that quality, that can-do kind of attitude is something that I really enjoy imbuing Frank, his brother Frank,
right, yeah.
Hank with, because it's just, it's just so much fun. It's fun to come in and you're doing dastardly things in a fun way.